Hi guys, welcome to my last class blog entry for JN1001. Today's blog entry is going to be looking at the political economy of the media, and I'm also going to briefly look at a conclusion and a sum up of the type of things that we've gone through in JN1001 for the semester. But firstly, I want to have a bit of a talk to you about political economy, which was the subject for this week's lecture. So obviously this week we discussed media in relation to today's Western political economy, and specifically the role of capitalism in guiding how media organisations operated. We discussed the key political concepts of ownership, control, regulation, audience labour and surveillance. I found this discussion regarding the concept of free media particularly interesting, which came up in class. Marie pointed out that many younger people in today's society feel that news should be a free service delivered to them, and the idea of paying for media is often quite offensive to this group of people. This is actually really quite odd, considering media has never really been free. But when thinking about it more after class, I think the issue comes up in relation to online news. I think because it's supposed to be a free information sharing source, the internet that is, even though we pay for our internet connection and our download, I think people are often offended because it kind of contradicts how media can best be used in an online sense by sharing links and things with other people. And when you have to pay to do that, it becomes quite difficult to accurately share that information with others. And also that there is this idea that the media is supposed to operate as a public service. So there are probably public contentions over this aspect as well. So should we really be paying for something that is supposed to be a public service to us? But then again, you also have to consider how else do these organisations keep running if they have no funding. At the end of the day, though, it really is our capitalist culture that is driving the profit of media organisations, as I just mentioned. And chiefly this is why the news is not free. The media will generate the majority of its profit from selling audiences to advertising agencies, whom they can then advertise to products as well as lifestyles. Money truly does make the world go round, but as part of a capitalist society, having money is often not enough. Showing off your wealth by owning certain products or dressing in a certain way has become a major aspect of capitalist society, and this leads me to the next issue of brandscaping, or brand journalism. Brandscaping is where advertising campaigns are not simply pushing for products anymore, so they're not just selling you the new fancy phone that's just come out. They're pushing a complete lifestyle that is associated with specific types of products, such as Apple technology. Apple or Macintosh has become enormous with the iPod, the iPhone, basically anything else you can think of that starts with I. But it's not just that it's selling these products. The advertising campaigns are selling a lifestyle that you can have by buying these products. The other thing I want to kind of briefly talk about today is this concept of audience labour. And audience labour for me is most noticeable in Web 2.0 productions, especially in things like Facebook. So when you use Facebook and you sign up for Facebook, obviously it's free to access the site and to join it. When you join, you enter all different types of information about your employment, your education, the types of ideas that you like, or the types of programs that you watch. And all this gets entered into a database, and then you're allowed to kind of socialise with your friends and family. But it's the fact that you're entering all of this information into a system, you're basically doing all the labour for the marketing campaigns themselves. So when you look at your Facebook, you actually see, this is Mark Zuckerberg's Facebook page. I've just stolen from Google Images. But on this side here, you'll see sponsored ads that get put in the side. And these ads are tailor-made specifically for you based on the information that you've put into, your personal information. So for me, I work as a wedding photographer, but while I'm not personally engaged or getting married, because wedding has been used in my personal information, the ads that I'm actually getting on the side here are about wedding venues and things like that in Townsville. So that's quite interesting to pay attention to that yourself. And the audience labour comes into it is because well, you're actually doing the work for this company. The advertising people are using the information that you put in there specifically to target ads to you. So we're moving on to a bit of a conclusion for the semester. And after completing the JN1001 subject, I kind of just want to recap some of the more important things I've looked at throughout the semester. Firstly, there was the media diary assignment that we had. And my results for that assessment piece showed that on average I engaged with media for 13.15 hours, which also equates to 789 minutes each day. This meant that for 77.3% of my waking hours each day, which was quite shocking, I engaged with media and technology. And this was really a big wake-up call for me. I'd never thought that my technology use would be quite this high. The results from that further showed that I used media and technology for various reasons. So primarily it was for university work, which I conducted online, electronically, and also via print media such as books and journal articles. I was also surprised to learn that I gathered most of my news from radio while I was working or driving, and also that radio was up there with the highest media consumptions. But overall, I think it was useful in learning how society engages with various forms of media and technology, which as a journalist allows me to better understand which platforms are currently favoured by society and can ultimately indicate how current audiences will best receive media. So as a journalist, if I'm looking at the fact that my total media consumption, the highest one was internet for computer use for my university work, the types of advertising or the way that I want to get information across for people of my age group might be through internet use. Likewise, again, the next highest one for me was TV, so the best way to reach audiences from that demographic who perhaps are not studying might be through TV. Secondly, we were required to keep a blog throughout the semester. Mine was entitled Potentio Stilios Gladio, which is Latin for the pen is mightier than the sword. Obviously, the class blogs were an opportunity for students to express their opinions and thoughts about class material, though I found that the personal blogs were more entertaining and valuable for my experience. It was an opportunity for me to apply some of the skills we had learned in class and also to challenge myself writing in different formats. Throughout the semester, we touched on a whole range of topics, including public and commercial media, news value, agenda setting, photography and pictures, using sound and images, and even ethics. And I gained a lot from each of these topics, but most interesting for me was the class debates regarding ethics, and specifically ethics in relation to photojournalism. I found it really interesting to see how different people would have reacted to different situations. The main example we used was Kevin Carter's infamous photograph, which generated heated discussion from the entire class during the lecture. I left the class really battling the idea whether or not ends justify means. I still don't really have an answer over if I feel the image was ethical or not. I think I will remain a fence sitter. Though the sheer fact that Carter committed suicide as a result of the image draws parallels to the issues of post-traumatic stress disorder and personal issues that journalists face working in traumatic environments. I also found writing the fairy tale quite challenging. It goes against all of the techniques we had learned all semester, though at the end of the day I was relatively happy with the outcome, and my fairy tale story was basically a take on Little Red Riding Hood after international students had been attacked and murdered in Brisbane. As a final remark, I want to refer to my first introduction blog I posted for the subject, where I have to admit I was particularly critical of journalism and its role within society. I stated that I felt that as an institution and activity, journalism has become corrupt, in my opinion. So for me, I decided to study journalism because despite some of the rubbish that is posted all over social media masquerading as news and journalism, I still feel that there is a place in our society for quality journalism, and it's a very important place at that. Early on in the semester, I had electives to choose from, and I chose to study journalism because I hoped that I would understand journalism much better And I also hope to understand my personal relationship with it better. I feel that as an activity from this regard, my blog has successfully served as a tool of discussion and personal reflection about my experiences studying journalism. And the media diary has certainly opened my eyes to my own media use. So really at this stage, that's it from me. And I hope that you found my blog entertaining. Thank you.